Back.
Mr. Trone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Holding this hearing, and Ranking Member Cartwright, thank you both. Director Dettelbach, did I get it? Close enough.
Close enough, yes, of course.
And we may not be above your pay grade. So I just heard my colleague, Mr. Clyde, talking about this race rule, which is fascinating. So we're struggling with horrific gun violence, all over America. I mean, it never ends. Can you tell me more about this rule and what it's accomplished? And also, are there 10 to 40 billion pistols that someone put a brace on?
So with respect to the rule, the National Firearms Act passed by Congress.
They don't need
the
it.
underlying statute.
They don't
We're trying
need
to make sure that we enforce, Congressman, and it says that short-barreled rifles are something that Congress deemed to be unusually dangerous and subject to increased regulation. The rule and the statute do not ban. They subject things to increased regulation. Over the years, right, products in the marketplace, in the free marketplace, change, and there were additional products that the Congressman's correct. We went back and forth with the industry on what qualified something to be a short-barreled rifle, and the rule is aimed at clarifying that. Now, this law that Congress passed was back in 1934, and as I said earlier, you don't have to look all the way back to understand why short-barreled rifles can be unusually dangerous. I mentioned, likely, although we haven't examined it, the school shooting in Nashville, the recent, the Dayton mass shooting, the shooting mass shooting in Boulder, Colorado, Club Q, and also in Colorado, are things that were accomplished with items that are short-barreled rifles. And what we seek to do is to take what Congress has said we should be doing and to apply it to the marketplace in a fair and appropriate way.
10 to 40 million?
We will see. We also gave in the rule the option for individuals who didn't want to register what they had, which is, I think, something that was the right thing to do, to break the weapon apart. So in other words, take the stabilizing brace off, and the business end of the firearm is yours without any obligation or registration, so long as it's not otherwise prohibited or regulated, you can have it. Again, trying to create ways. So there could be a portion of people who just say, you know what, I don't feel like filling out the form, even though it's free. I'm breaking it apart, and I got my gun, and I'll put my stabilizing brace on a long-barreled item, and they wouldn't have to do anything.
Okay, sounds like you're on the right track, and continue on. Trafficking, fentanyl, we've got to stop the fentanyl. The Mexican government is not cooperating, stopping the fentanyl in large part. What they've asked us to do is stop the guns, the gun trafficking that's coming across the southern border in huge droves, and it's turned Mexico into virtually a gun narco state where they don't control 90% of the provinces are controlled by the cartels, who have their own weaponry. So what can we do to help? I mean, the Biden administration has given extra funding to ATF, which we think has been underfunded, and now the conversation is to cut that funding back to 22 levels. And I just want to stop the fentanyl. The Mexican government says, help us stop the guns, so they stop killing everybody. So seems like those are good things. So tell me how these budget cuts would hurt the agency's ability to stop the firearms that are ending up to the cartels.
So, Congressman, from my many years as a prosecutor and now at ATF, one thing I can tell you is that guns and drugs go together in many cases. Firearms are, unfortunately, all too often illegal tools of drug dealers to hurt people and enforce their regime. So we work together with our law enforcement partners on drug cases involving violent criminals, and we also work to try and cut off the unlawful supply of firearms going to the criminal element, right? Different from law-abiding citizens, of course. With respect to the border, we have 9 firearms trafficking task forces that are focused on border activity.
But if your budget's cut to 22, how's it going to hamper you? What's that mean? And more guns going to Mexico, which means more drugs coming here.
More drugs and more violence.
Bingo.
And so there's no way to cut that budget at those levels without seeing public safety effects for Americans and hurting our state and local law enforcement partners, the police departments, the sheriff's departments, who we work with all the time. We will have to end some of those enforcement activities. We will have fewer special agents. It will affect every part of our public safety mission.
I know I'm over time, but you've got to get your data better on the GAO report of 2021 on guns coming across the border. You're not counting the Attorney General's in Mexico's findings. We need to count what the Mexicans take also, so we have better data.
And I would encourage you also, in addition, I hear you, to look at the firearms trafficking reports that the President and Attorney General directed us to put out. It is more information in one place on America's crime guns than has ever been put out before in the history of the country. It is, you can search it by state, 40 cities we've searched it for, and any city that wasn't in the 40, they can request us to run those numbers for them, and we will do it. It is a great law enforcement tool, but I hear you on...
Get all the Mexican agencies' data together, so we have good data, the more the better. Thank you, I yield back.